struggling to write music because you just can't find any inspiration? Writing a song from scratch can either be the easiest or hardest thing you've ever done, and it all depends if you've got inspiration or you're motivated to do it. If you can't think of anything that you want to write, you're probably going to write something half-assed and forced that you're just not happy with. So instead of getting frustrated with it, what you need to actually do is tap into all those inspiration sources around you that you've literally got, you just don't know. If you don't know me, my name's Sophia. I've been writing music for 10 years. I have 4 albums out. I put my first album out when I was 16. I had no idea what I was doing. All I knew was that I love to write music. And I was so good at writing lyrics because I had so much inspiration around me. And that's what we're going to get into today. Genuinely, when I was like 12 to 15, I made so much inspiration for myself and I didn't even realize it. And one of the best things I ever did when I was younger was just make myself write constantly. I wrote music every single night. Not just music though, I wrote poems, I wrote diaries, I wrote literally everything, and all of that stuff has now given me this huge database to use today. I've basically tapped into all of these sources for my music. Now I just have an endless supply of lyrics waiting to be found. So if you're feeling stuck in your songwriting, you're not feeling very inspired, or you just don't really know where to start, this video is for you. Because I've been writing so long now, it just feels like second nature to tap into all these places when I'm feeling stuck, if I want to write something, but I just don't know what. And sometimes inspiration just strikes you out of nowhere. But if you're feeling really stuck, it's great to have a few places where you know you can find something to work with. Think of yourself as a bit of a song factory, and these are your supplies, and you need to keep them sustainable, you need to keep them going. This is basically how over 10 years I've never ever run out of anything to write. So the first thing that I love to look back on is old text messages. And this isn't me telling you to go back and cry with texts from your ex. Don't do that, don't text them. All I'm saying is go back and look at those memories, look at those feelings, and see what they stir up in you. If you're brave enough, go into the ancient archives of your life, DMs, Snapchat chats, WhatsApp, Kik, for God's sake. Find anything that speaks to you. It can either be something you said, a situation you completely forgot about, something that's saved in your chat, anything that's still there that made you think, oh, that happened, that's something. What does it spark in you? What do you feel about it? It might be something you completely forgot happened years and years ago, and now you can use that as a song idea. I remember once when I was like 15, I tried to write a song completely out of old text messages, and it wasn't great, and it's really fun to try. It's probably not going to be your hit single, but it's a really good exercise in like picking out things that you really like and that kind of sound like you. It's also just so fun to read through your old text messages, as long as they're not traumatizing. Okay, the second thing that is literally going to change your life as a songwriter is poetry. And if you studied poems at school and you hated them, no you don't, you love them now. Poetry will literally change your life as a songwriter, and I mean that. I'm telling you, it's where the best inspiration comes from. I don't care what anyone says, lyricism and poetry go hand in hand. Just ask my dissertation. Read any poems that draw you in. You can find them anywhere, like online. You can make a little day out of it, go and buy a poetry book and like circle and highlight some ones that you're interested in. I personally love stuff written by women. I just think it speaks to me more. By the way, if you're a woman and you haven't read anything by Sylvia Plath, get out, like just leave. I'm really sorry, I don't make the rules. Go and read some Sylvia Plath right now. I really love the idea that poems are like little snippets of human life, the same way that songs are. Like somebody captured this little moment, and it could be 300 years ago that they wrote it, but they've caught this little moment and they've written a whole little poem about it, turned it into this like beautiful piece of art, and you've had that same feeling. And even though there's like 300 years between you and this other writer, you feel just like so connected to humanity. And it's like what art's all about, isn't it? So go and find a favorite poet, go and find a favorite poem, and find it on TikTok. Like honestly, I don't know how many times I'm scrolling on TikTok and I see like a slideshow of sad poetry and I'm like, I know I'm gonna cry, but I'm gonna read this anyway and it's gonna be great inspiration. Okay, the next one, and this is probably my favorite one to use, is looking through your old diaries and journals. This might be controversial, but Guys, it's time to get out those old diaries and cringe at yourself. Honestly, writing from lived experience makes for the best music. I don't know why, but there's just something about writing from your own experience that makes the words come out so much easier. I think it's because we've gone through it. Even if you struggle to put a feeling into words, it's so easy to just kind of. Music really helps me capture whatever emotion I'm feeling better than just saying it out loud. I don't know why, it's just a thing and it works. If you want to take a leaf out of my book, listen to any of my songs and you're gonna get the whole download of my entire life basically. But honestly, it's so cathartic to write from your own experience as well. And like, putting a song out that encapsulates a feeling that you had that you couldn't really express is just like the best healer ever. I don't even know how to describe it, but even if you don't put it out, just writing music that helped you get through something emotionally, like, there's just no words to describe it. I genuinely don't know what I do without music and writing songs. I don't know how other people cope with things. Okay, this next idea is a little bit niche, but honestly, it inspired so many of my unpublished songs. Every time I want to write a song and I've got nothing going on in my life, I will gravitate to this idea. Basically, what you've got to do is go into your wardrobe, go onto your bookshelf and look at the things that you used to read and used to watch and used to play when you were little. And this can mean super little or when you were a teenager, when you were at school, when you were at uni, however old you are now. Just think about all your past eras of things that you really liked. You know, what kind of books did you like to read? What plot lines did you gravitate towards? What characters did you relate to and resonate with? Because when you're writing a song or an album, you're basically like creating a fantasy world. None of these people exist in your song. They're all fictionalized. So think about the kind of stuff that you were really interested in when you were younger. When you were younger and you didn't have any worries about bills or jobs or uni work or anything like that, all you had to worry about was what you liked and what you were interested in. And if you find those little niche interests, and genuinely writing songs will come so easy to you because it'll be what you really enjoy. I've really been trying to like connect with my past self and like my younger self's interests this year. I also just feel like we all spend way too much time on our phones, but that's a rabbit hole I'm not going to go down. It just means that we kind of forget our hobbies and forget things that we were really interested in when we were younger. Think about the protagonist of your song. How do they feel? What have they been through? What are their goals? How do they speak to themselves? How do they treat others? And what would they say if they were writing a song? For example, think about two concept albums. I know they're so different, but think about Folklore and think about The Eminem Show. Both of those albums have like fictionalized characters, they have storylines, they have plots going through them. Do you see how they both like make worlds and make characters interlink throughout the whole track list? It's such a great concept. And if you're struggling to write a song, maybe start with like building a world instead. This next one's super important and I feel like most people won't do this, but this is literally like, this one is so important, especially for songwriting. What you need to do is listen to genres of music that you don't listen to. Because right now, if say you love pop music, you're just listening to pop music, you're in that bubble, you're not branching out, you're not learning new techniques, you're not listening to new ideas, you're just staying within that bubble, and that will only take you so far. You're basically limiting yourself and you're not going to improve your writing past a certain level. I'm not saying you can't have a certain favourite genre, but there's music out there that you've never heard, there's ideas that you've never heard, there's cool techniques that you've like never even heard written, never mind heard the name of. If you're stuck on where to start, I would definitely recommend starting with country music. Even if you hate country music, the lyrics and the plot of songs in country music is amazing. They're honestly a game changer. I feel like sometimes I watch a whole movie in like 4 minutes with country music. But yeah, just listen to things that you wouldn't usually listen to and find out what you liked from them, what you didn't like, what you could use in your own music, what kind of inspiration you could take from them. Okay, this last one is my favorite because it makes me so nostalgic. But listen to your favorite singer's first albums. So if your favorite singer is Taylor Swift, go back to the country roots. If it's like Ed Sheeran, it was just him and his guitar. Go back to the beginning, because it's so easy to sit here and compare yourself to somebody's 10th, 11th, 12th studio album. But like, that's not a fair comparison. Think about their roots and where they started and what firstly inspired them, what got them into making music, what was their first initiation into the music industry. You can't compare yourself to somebody that spent 20 years working in their career when you're on album one. There's no shame in being in album one. It's just not a fair comparison. So think about where they started out, you know, who inspired their music. Everyone needs somewhere to start, and it's so easy when you get a few albums in and you start making a lot of money and have a big name for yourself to just start making stuff with the intent to go viral, with the intent to make more money and become commercially successful. But if you go right back to the beginning, you're just gonna find people that made music because they loved making music, and that's it. People can smell bullshit authenticity from a mile away. They can smell people being fake, you know, people that haven't found their sound yet. I mean, there's nothing wrong with not having found your sound, but if you're trying to be something you're not, if you're trying to find a genre that you're just not, then, you know, what's the point? Music is about being you. If it's not enjoyable to you, then don't bother, because it's hard enough as it is. But yeah, I literally can't recommend enough just listening to your favorite artists' first albums and seeing what you liked about them, what you didn't like, and what you would have done differently. Right, now I've just thrown all that information at you. It's really important that you keep this stuff up, because you can find all this information. If you don't have a diary, if you didn't have a favorite poet, then you're basically going to be out of stuff in a week. So what you need to do is make this database sustainable, and it's really easy to do that. It's all very well tapping into these ideas, but one day they're just going to run out again. So here's a couple of things you can do to make sure that you never ever run out of ideas again. The first thing is start a diary. I don't care if you've lived 30 years on this earth and you've never ever written a diary. Today is the day to start. It's so therapeutic. It's such a game changer if you're a songwriter as well, because you're always going to be able to tap into those old emotions. So much happens in life. There might have been something that happened just on one little day that could inspire a whole song, and you just forget. I've loved keeping a diary. I kept a diary from 2010 to 2020, which was 10 years. And I also had little like branch off diaries when something big happened. Like if I had a crush, I would have like a whole separate diary to write all about the stuff that was going on. That was a bit intense. Secondly, in a similar vein, just write everything down. Every single thought you have, every idea, every song lyric. I don't care if you've written the perfect song and you've got 10 verses that you're going to throw away that you don't need. Keep them, because those ideas could be the hook for the next song or just a little part of your next album, but they're all so valuable. You never know what you're going to come back to in 6 months, what you've lived through in 6 months, and what now speaks to you differently. Don't waste anything. And the final thing is start using social media for good. So it's really easy to sit there on your phone and scroll for like 2 hours on TikTok. I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. But instead of doing that, start using social media to learn, actually click your brain into place a bit more rather than just mindlessly scrolling. I have never been so happy to log onto TikTok for all the right reasons now. I go on, I type in poetry, I see a slideshow, it's got a sad song playing, I'm already emotional, and you just get so inspired. Save anything that comes onto your For You page. If poetry comes onto my For You page, that's a blessing to me. That poem was meant to find me. The universe sent that down and I need to read it. Also, like, there's nothing stopping you from reaching out to another artist on TikTok. If you're promoting stuff online, if you're promoting stuff on TikTok, making videos, what's stopping you from collabing with somebody else? Everybody has to start somewhere. And if you see someone you like, someone's music sounds really good, just send them a message and be like, hey, I really liked your music. Do you want to like collab? Do you want to write something together? And just see what happens. Because writing with other people, it's the best way to learn. And even if you don't see eye to eye on stuff, you've learned things about yourself, your own songwriting, about other people's songwriting. You'll always be able to take something from that. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really hope this has been helpful. Let me know which technique you're going to try first. And if you have any more, because I'm starting to run out of ideas. I know I'm trying to be a sustainable queen, but I write a lot and there's only so much stuff I can think of. So if you have any more ideas, let me know in the comments and I'll check them out. And I'll see you in the next one.